"We've always been close, intimate, even after Harry." Those weren't idle tabloid words or the ramblings of an ex-friend. They came straight from Markus Anderson himself, the man once whispered about as Meghan Markle's other half, and that single confession, it didn't just make headlines, it cracked the polished glass of the royal fairy tale. Because what Markus revealed wasn't gossip, it was an earthquake beneath the palace floors. Behind every elegant photo, every royal smile, every curated interview, there was a hidden world of loyalty, power, and secrets. And Markus Anderson, he held the key to all of it. The phrase, "we've always been close," was never meant to escape private ears. It was whispered in confidence, maybe over a quiet drink or a nostalgic chat. But somehow, those words slipped into the open, and once they did, the story of Meghan Markle was never the same again. If Markus was telling the truth, then Meghan's picture-perfect love, the story with Prince Harry wasn't as spotless as it looked. It was layered, built on unbreakable loyalty, old emotions that refused to die, and a friendship that blurred lines most couples would never dare to cross. Before there was a duchess, before the crown, before the cameras, there was Markus. He wasn't just another friend. He was the architect of Meghan's rise, the mirror who reflected who she wanted to be. Her confidant, her strategist, her shield. Some even said he was the only one who could truly pull her strings. So when Markus finally broke his silence, when that confession leaked, the world suddenly realized the harsh truth. Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from the people who built you. Markus Anderson wasn't born into the glitz he came to command. He was just Markus from Ontario, a boy who understood people better than he understood himself. No fancy family, no inherited privilege. He built his empire out of charm, instinct, and strategy. His big break? Soho House, that elite members-only club known for champagne secrets and quiet power. There, Markus didn't just work, he ruled. He became the gatekeeper, the man who decided who got in, who got noticed, and who stayed invisible. That's where Meghan Markle entered his orbit. Back then, she was just a hustling actress in Toronto, filming Suits, smart, ambitious, and hungry for more. Their chemistry? Instant. Not romantic at first, but magnetic. She had ambition. He had access. Together, they were unstoppable. Markus opened the doors she'd only dreamed of. Designers, producers, socialites, the names that could turn an actress into a brand. He taught her the game, and she played it brilliantly. But beneath the glitz of red carpet selfies and jet-set weekends, something deeper took root, an emotional bond that no title could define. Markus wasn't just her best friend. He was her anchor, her publicist, her emotional insurance, and when her star began to rise, when the spotlight grew harsher, Markus was always there, a calm shadow in the background, quietly managing the woman he'd helped craft into a phenomenon. They traveled together, Madrid, Istanbul, London, always in style, always just beyond full public view. Friends who saw them swore their connection was unspoken, almost telepathic. One look, and they knew what the other was thinking. When Meghan doubted herself, Markus reminded her who she was. When she needed a new opportunity, Markus already had the number. He curated her life like a brand, and eventually, that brand caught the attention of a prince. Because it was Markus Anderson who arranged Meghan's stay at Soho Farmhouse, the ultra-exclusive countryside retreat in Oxfordshire. And it was there, according to multiple insiders, that Meghan Markle met Prince Harry for the very first time. Coincidence? Hardly. Some call it fate, others call it orchestration. But one thing's clear. Markus was the bridge between Meghan's old world and her royal one, the man who introduced her to destiny. When Harry entered the picture, the world thought Markus would fade into the background. But he didn't. Their connection only grew more complex, quiet, and powerful. By 2016, Meghan's entire world was meticulously designed, and Markus sat right at the center of it. The meeting that would change history seemed innocent enough. A casual weekend at Soho Farmhouse, a dinner, a few mutual friends, but behind it all was Markus Anderson, arranging every detail. He'd booked Meghan's stay, chose her guest list, handled introductions. That night, sparks flew. Meghan called Markus, her voice excited, almost girlish. "He's different," she said. Markus smiled and told her, "Then show him the version of you the world doesn't know yet." Those words changed everything. They launched a royal romance, but they also created something else, an unspoken triangle. Harry saw Meghan as his freedom, the woman who could help him escape his royal cage. Markus saw Meghan as his creation, the woman he'd helped build. And from that moment on, their worlds overlapped in ways neither could control. At first, Harry liked Markus. They shared drinks, laughs, dinners. But soon, he began to notice something unsettling. Meghan was different around Markus, more alive, more confident, more herself. And for a man who'd spent his life battling insecurity, that spark stirred a quiet, growing jealousy. Markus was always there. Every milestone, every private celebration, there he was. The engagement party, the wedding plans, the secret trips, Markus was the constant presence, smiling politely, always close. By the time of the royal wedding in 2018, Markus Anderson wasn't just another guest. He was practically family, seated in a position of honor, watching the couple he had brought together. But even then, whispers began to surface. Palace staff noticed Meghan's late-night calls to Markus, his name appearing in planning notes and travel itineraries. Whenever Meghan was upset, overwhelmed, or anxious, it was Markus she called, not her husband. To the outside world, he was just her old friend. To those inside palace walls, Markus was a storm that never passed. At first, Harry ignored the noise. He trusted Meghan. He wanted to believe her friendship with Markus was innocent. But small things began to eat away at him. A deleted message here, a brushed off lunch there. Until one day, someone overheard him mutter under his breath, "Why does he still need to be around?" And Meghan's reply, "Because he's the only one who's never left." That answer haunted Harry. Even when they moved to America, even when they thought they'd left all that royal chaos behind, Marcus's name lingered like a shadow. He appeared at baby showers, private dinners, Brentwood gatherings never far, never fully gone, and then one night, over casual drinks, Markus said something that would ignite a global storm. When Markus spoke that night, it wasn't a press conference or a tell-all interview. It was casual, off the record. Drinks on the table, laughter in the air. But what he said froze the room. He smiled softly and said, "People think the story ended when she married Harry. It didn't. It just changed form." The words were chilling quiet, but heavy enough to collapse walls. He hadn't denied anything, he hadn't confessed in anger, he'd just spoken a truth he'd carried for too long. A journalist sitting across from him felt the weight immediately. This wasn't rumor, it was revelation. Within days, the whisper became a headline, then the headline became a wildfire. "We've always been close, even after Harry." That single sentence exploded across screens, papers, podcasts. Every photo, every old video clip, every royal appearance was suddenly dissected with surgical precision. Inside Buckingham Palace, chaos reigned. Phones buzzed nonstop. Advisors drafted statements, press teams scrambled. And for once, Meghan's silence wasn't power, it was fear. Prince Harry reportedly went completely still. Days passed before he spoke a word. He wasn't furious at the media, he was furious at himself for not seeing it sooner. He began to connect dots that once seemed harmless. The messages Meghan smiled at before deleting. The business trips that coincidentally matched Marcus's travel schedule. The way her tone changed when his name appeared. Those moments that once felt innocent now felt like ghosts in the room. When Meghan denied the story, she called it a twisted attempt to destroy her family. But even as she spoke those words, Markus stayed silent. He neither confirmed nor denied. He simply disappeared, as if leaving his truth behind was enough. Behind the scenes, damage control meetings turned into paranoia. Phones were checked, NDAs rewritten. But they all knew it was useless. The story had already taken a life of its own. In America, the silence around Montecito became louder. Neighbors noticed the absence of laughter that once echoed from the estate. The couple smiled for cameras when necessary, but the warmth looked practiced. Inside, arguments became routine. The name Markus came up again and again, like an unwelcome ghost. Friends close to the couple described shouting matches that began over nothing, a misplaced phone, a missed call, but always ended the same way. With Meghan saying, "You'll never understand what he meant to me," and Harry whispering, "That's exactly what scares me." The tension was unbearable. It wasn't about infidelity, it was about loyalty. About the kind that outlives even love. Then came the moment that broke them. Harry stumbled upon a message thread old, harmless perhaps, but affectionate. Jokes, shared memories, inside references. The kind of talk that made it clear Meghan and Markus had once lived in a world entirely their own. Harry didn't explode, he didn't yell, he simply looked at her and said, "You never really left him, did you?" She had no answer. Meanwhile, Markus had gone silent. Paparazzi, who once caught glimpses of him in London, now saw him less and less. Occasionally, he'd appear at a cafe, dressed simply, smiling politely when asked about Meghan. But those who saw him swore he carried a calmness like a man who had said everything he needed to say. In the public eye, Meghan and Harry carried on. Smiles at charity galas, coordinated statements, subtle hand touches. But insiders knew. Something had cracked. Something invisible, but irreversible. Meghan's circle shrank dramatically. Friends she once trusted drifted away. She stopped sharing, stopped attending events unless necessary. She became guarded, cautious, as if one more secret could collapse everything. For Harry, the damage was quieter but deeper. The boy who had fought the palace for love was now questioning whether love had ever truly belonged to him. Inside the royal family, the relief that came with silence was mixed with dread. Because Markus Anderson, the man who had caused so much chaos, still existed out there. Free, quiet, unpredictable. An unspoken fear rippled through palace halls. What if he speaks again? Because everyone knew if one sentence could cause this much destruction, imagine what a second might do. In the end, every fairy tale demands its price. For Meghan, it was her peace. For Harry, it was his trust. And for Markus Anderson, the man who lit the match, it was his reputation. Each of them paid in a different currency. Publicly, Meghan and Harry presented unity, walking hand in hand, smiling for cameras, rebuilding the image they'd fought to protect. But insiders whispered that something between them had changed forever. The laughter that once came easily now sounded rehearsed. The glances that once spoke volumes now avoided too much meaning. They had survived the headlines, but not the truth behind them. Markus, on the other hand, faded back into obscurity. Sometimes he was spotted at small Soho gatherings, other times in quiet corners of London cafes. Always calm, always composed with that same half smile that made everyone wonder, did he say it out of love? Out of pain? Or was it the only way he could finally free himself from Meghan's shadow? In the end, it almost didn't matter, because what Markus Anderson's confession revealed was something bigger than scandal. It peeled back the mask of royalty itself, exposing something raw and painfully human beneath it. That behind every title, behind every glittering crown and curated photo, there are hearts that break, friendships that blur, and secrets that eventually demand to be heard. Sometimes it only takes one whisper to bring down an entire illusion. And Markus's whisper was loud enough to shake the palace to its core.